This is an audio check. Are the audio coming through clearly?
1, 2, 3. Is audio coming through?
Can you hear Reza also?
Okay, yeah. I see Diraj Marcus responding. Yeah, that seems something coming up.
Perfect. See you in 3 minutes then. Hello everyone and welcome to the Power BI quiz, and hello Reza, nice to have you here in my living room or bedroom.
Hello. Thank you. Nice to be there in Copenhagen with you, like remotely.
From New Zealand to Denmark, yeah.
From tomorrow to yesterday.
Yeah, actually your day ahead of most of us. You have been up very early. It's 6 a.m. right in New Zealand now?
Yeah, 6 a.m. 20th of August.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not still dawn yet. It is a little bit like before that.
Actually, I don't know anyone that is so committed to the community as you. You're doing so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You are doing a phenomenal job already.
It's really incredible that how much you do. And you also had your birthday yesterday. So the day after your birthday, you are up so early.
Yes, that even yesterday I did a lot of work, so kind of birthday with any work.
A birthday with work, but it was a kind of special birthday because I remember your age because I turned 40 just a week ago, so I'm 1 week older than you because you turned 40 yesterday or today if it's American, US European time, but
yeah, this is my first day at being 40 then. And happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you,
Even
thank
if
you.
it's like a week past.
Yeah, so this is our second season of the Power BI quiz, and it's a really, really big honor to have you as the guest to start this
Thank
up.
you.
So yeah, let's get on to it. Normally we'll introduce the guest, but I assume not everybody, but yeah, maybe everybody working with Power BI know you because you have this very famous website, radacat.com, and also these free Power BI to Rockstar books, and doing a lot of
Thank you.
training
Thanks
also.
for the introduction. Really appreciate that. And thank you everyone for joining. Really good to see you all here, all of these familiar names. Looking forward to it.
Some people say they have some echo. I don't have any echo with me.
If there's echo, I can use my headphone. That might reduce the echo. I can give it a try.
Yeah, they say the incoming audio from Reza is echoing on your side.
Yeah,
So
it's always coming from. So let me just give it a shot.
let's try it out.
Let's just
And-
take just a second.
In the meantime, let's introduce the prizes. So the grand winner of this quiz today, the quiz that is around data modeling, or actually best practices around data modeling in Power BI, will give a $100 gift card to Lego.com. So we will have the same prizes for this second season as we had in the first season. And then the raffle prize. So a randomly picked attendee from today will get a voucher to Radacat Academy, and that's a 1 month free access to all the content on Radacat Academy. And just to give you an idea of what that is, let's see. Here, this is actually Reza's site, where you don't just have a lot of Power BI content, you have a lot of other free stuff. Can you tell us a little about it, Reza?
Yes, yeah. So this has started with like 3, 4, 5 courses like about a year ago, but now we have over 25 courses, all topics like SSIS, BIML, SQL Server, AI, of course, Power BI again, of course. We have even content in different languages, English, Spanish. So a lot of contents are new over there, and we are increasing the content over there as well. And this voucher is like 1 month free access to all of those content.
Wow, that's a great prize. And you just told me before we start that you will actually donate one of these raffle prizes for every quiz this season. So thank you very much for that.
Yep, thank you for doing the quiz. It's a fantastic job.
No problem at all. And let's have a look at the grand prize for the winner. This is a gift card to Lego.com, and I just picked some of the things you can buy for less than $100.
Wow, that's great.
So there's a lot of fun stuff in here, and yeah, we've been giving out 10 of these, and I've seen on Twitter what people have bought. It's really fun to see what people do with this gift card.
Oh yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and then
Lots of cool things.
Then the next thing is picking the raffle prize for the last quiz of the first season. So this was the quiz where Reza Rad did a quiz on data flows. And at that quiz we had 39 participants. And as you can see here, it was a pretty hard quiz because yeah, the winner only got 4 out of 10 correct. And the winner was, yeah, the one and only Rishi that had won 3 of the 10 quizzes in the first season. Let's see how good he will do here in our second season. So I have a random number for each of these 39 participants, and now Reza, I will ask you to pick a number. And you cannot pick your age.
40. 40. Not the age. Okay. Okay. So let's do 30 then.
30 then. So that's your mental age, I believe. Let's
That is
see
the age I'm
with the willful
I'm
action
living.
here,
You know.
who is behind number 30? And it was actually,
Right.
I can assure you that this is a coincidence that the rank is also the random index, is that there's a random function I have used, but it is Rad Yes. So congratulations to Rad Yes. And what did Rad Yes win? He actually won a membership to Enterprise DNA, which is also a community site where there's just a training site, but only with Power BI content. So yeah, Reza, unfortunately, it's one of
Congratulations.
your competitors in this space.
No, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, I love all of our competitors. We are at the end of the day all together helping the world. So
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, congratulations to Red Yes.
to Rajesh,
Yeah, and
congratulations.
I'll try and hunt him down and give him the prize. And if you know of Red Yes, or is he in the quiz today, so please, yeah, reach out to me, and I will give you the coupon code. Yeah, and then I
Yeah,
also
just one thing: is the echo vanished, or still people hear it? You can just continue. I'm just watching.
yeah, I don't see anything people complaining about. Oh, the echo worse.
Worse.
Oh,
How come it worse? I just changed everything. Oh. Echo is from Just. His audio is coming back over mic. Okay.
oh.
Do you have a headphone? Yes.
Uh,
It says, Andy says it makes Reza sound more ominous. I am talking to you all. You are.
yeah, now I'm not muted. I maybe. Let's see. I think this will help.
Or what I can do is I can turn on my microphone whenever I'm not talking, so this might makes it better.
No egg anymore. Woohoo! Yeah. It turned out I had Reza's microphone turned a little too high, so that was why it was echoing. That's my fault. So yeah, let's get on to the quiz. And thank you for people for reaching out, and so we can have a better sound. Yeah, I have this website where I created this results from first season. So if you're interested in how you did or any of your friends did, then you can go in and find this Power BI report. And for instance, we can take see here Benny, yeah, how he did. He was actually participating in 9 out of the 10 quizzes. And a little funny note here is that he was also one of the top scorers totally, but did fail on Will Thompson, as you can see here. And it was actually Benny's own suggestion to have a quiz with Will Thompson, so he mightn't have known that he could learn something from that quiz. Yeah. Yeah. So let's get on to the quiz. So the Kahoot Quiz. For those of you who have not using a Kahoot Quiz but have not been part of this one before, you will see the questions on your monitor, and then you will go to kahoot.it on your mobile or second the monitor. Just you have 2 screens is recommended, and then I will give you a pin code very shortly that you have to put in on kahoot.it, and then use your as your nickname, use your full name or your Twitter handle, something, so if you win the raffle prize that I can find you. And please be aware that we have a 3 to 5 seconds delay. That will mean that you will see the answers on your mobile device before you see the question. And that also means if there's a time down, then it will actually end 3 to 5 seconds. So if it says you have 30 seconds, you will only have 25 seconds. So please answer before it times out, because then it will be too late. We'll have one.
And I think the faster the answer is, the more points it is, right? Or not?
The faster you answer, then you will get more points. So that's also a thing to note here. And we will start with one question without points, so that you can just have a feeling with it. And then we have 10 real questions that Reza supported and gave to us around data modeling and best practice and data modeling. And of course, when we say best practice at data modeling, there can be different opinions. So in this quiz, Reza is the judge and have picked the right answer. But it will also give some good discussion. Reza can elaborate on each question to tell you why this is the best practice and why you shouldn't do this and so on. So let's do the quiz. So let's start it up here.
Yeah, let's do this.
So here you have the pen code. So I know Kyle and Benny have trying to be the first one, and I think this time Benny was the first one, just with a millisecond before Kyle. And we have 25 players right now. It's 30. In the first season, we had around 40 to 45 players at each quiz. Let's see how many we are today. If I've been doing my marketing correctly, or have reached more people or less people. 35 nearly, yeah. So it seems that we are around 35 and people can join later. So let's just have the first question here and start this. So, what's your favorite part when creating a Power BI solution? And you only have 20 seconds for this one, because it's just a poll. Later on, you'll have...
I think everyone would answer data modeling, because that might be the...
Maybe not. Let's see. Here. Today is around data modeling. A lot of people answer data modeling. No one
governance. Why?
not so surprising.
Governance is not the favorite part.
No. But data mashup, data modeling, and then a little visualization. So and we have one quiz around data modeling. We also have quizzes around data mashup and data visualization, and in a couple of weeks we'll have a new quiz on data governance with Melissa doing a quiz around that part again.
Melissa Coates, yep, she's great.
So let's start and have the first real question.
Get ready.
What's the best place to do each calculation? So 2 different types of calculations, row by row or aggregations. And you can do both in both places. So what is the best place?
Okay, that's good to see. Most of people answer it right. Just an explanation on this. You can do row, as you mentioned, you can do row by row calculation, of course, in DAX as a calculated column, but most of the times these are better to be done in Power Query. Like there are many reasons for that. One is Power Query is the transformation engine built for these type of things. If you do that in Power Query, you can even move these calculations to be done in Dataflow sometime if you want to do that. Versus in terms of like aggregations, because most of the time aggregations are dynamic and they're supposed to be dynamic calculated, such as year to date and things like that, better to be done in DAX using measures, which is what most of people answered correctly.
Perfect. Let's have the next. Let's see the leaderboard. So Kyle, a lot of people answered it correctly. So Kyle was the one answering the quickest. So, and then we have
and Benny second.
Let's have the next question. So you have a customer dimension with 5 million rows, so pretty many rows in a dimension.
There was one person answered it just like as it came through, so that was really fast. Okay, nice. Good to see you again. Most of you answered it correctly. So the trick here, like, let me first explain what role-playing dimension is. When you create like two different relationships between two tables, your second, your third relationships would be all inactive relationship. There are two ways to handle it. One way is to create copies of your first dimension, which we call it role-playing dimension, and to keep that inactive relationship, but then use the function in DAX called use relationship in your measures to calculate it. We do role-playing dimension only if the dimension is small, and that is the trick in this question, that the customer dimension has 5 million rows. So you don't want to create like 3 copies of that dimension. In that case, you keep that inactive relationship, but then use that measure to calculate it.
Great, thank you. And we have Benny on top. Let's have the next one. True or false? Should you combine date and time in the same dimension table? True or false?
I see most of the people answered it already.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Maybe 20 seconds was enough for this one. I think most of people have answered it now.
Great. So another good scenario of data modeling. You can combine date and time together in one table, but if you consider like how big that table would be, you won't do it, because date itself, if you have it, let's say for 20 years, that is going to be like 7,000 rows. If you have like granularity of one day per row. Then if you combine it with time, and your timetable has like granularity of hours, minutes, and seconds, then it is going to be like over 5 million rows table. So you won't really combine these together. You should have like separate date table, separate timetable. The connection of these two would hack table, which is what most of the people answered correctly.
Yeah. So it's a matter of granularity here. Yeah. Not exploding the dimension.
Yeah, and correct. Benny is still up there. Rishi is getting up.
Yes, and Rishi. Yeah.
And Donald.
Which is not a best practice. This is around snapshot tables, if you know this concept.
Or if you have it in my blog post.
8 seconds last. And 5 seconds. There's a lot of text in this answer, so Oh, most people have that one correct.
Okay, that's great to hear. Many of you answered it correctly. Like I recognize that it would take a bit time to answer it because there are lots of text in these answers. So the main thing is that like when you want to have a snapshot scenario, like calculating stock on hand or things like that, there are two ways to do that in Power BI. One way is to create that snapshot table, either using Power Query or ETL process in your data warehouse, whatever you have. Another way is to calculate it using DAX measures, which there are pros and cons. If you do that in Power Query or ETL, normally you don't do that for tables that the granularity contains a lot of dimensions, because that means it would be like a cross join of all the possibilities. Sometimes your snapshot tables easily get over billions of rows. Snapshot tables are like one of the largest fact tables you might have. Versus when the scenario is calculating something such as only stock on hand or something like that, you can achieve that with like a simple DAX expressions. So all of these answers are kind of related to that. If you are doing an aggregation with few dimensions, better to do that in Power Query. If you are doing an aggregations only for, let's say, one or two measures, then better do it with DAX. Or the next one was that calculating stock on hand as a DAX measure. But the one that is at the last is saying that you create a snapshot table even though you have a lot of calculations and a lot of dimensions. That would be a bit problematic in the modeling.
Yeah. And Rishi is asking, you generate snapshot table using generate?
You generate a snapshot table using generate. Yeah, there are many ways to do that. That can be like one way of creating it. Another way can be just like cross-joining tables together and then calculating the result out of it. That cross-join can happen just if you are using Power Query, just list of like getting data from one table, then using another table as add custom column and then expanding it regardless of what is the relationship. So that will bring you all the possibilities, things like that. Yeah, that is also another way.
Okay. Let's see. And we have Alice on top. And Ben is second. And Rishi third. Chilanza and Power BI. Oh, who could be behind that? And now you get double points for answering this one correctly. Which table should be combined into one?
Probably there's an obvious answer over there, but at least the others can be.
Yeah, that should be one of them. Hopefully no one answers of these four. If people have been hearing for earlier questions, at least. Yeah, most of people got this one right.
That's good. That's good. This was actually one of the questions that we had in the previous round of quiz as well, and most of people got it wrong, so that is why I added again, which is good to see most of people get it right. Now, why date and time is not good answer, because I already explained that. Sales and inventory, these are like two different actions, a sales transaction and inventory movement. These are normally two different fact tables. Unless you are doing a very specific requirement, you won't combine those together. And product and customer, same thing. Product and customer are two different dimensions. Their relationship normally happens when there's a sales has been made, which is in the fact table. So these two tables won't be combined together. However, customer and geography of the customer, although this looks like these two should be two different tables in the normal database, in data warehouse environment, or in the data modeling for reporting, in the star schema, we combine them to avoid snowflaking, to avoid having like or dimension connecting to like another dimension, bringing them together to have one dimension for customer relationship with the fact table.
Yeah, let's see. And
okay, Alice is there. Penny second, Rishi
people are getting
third,
double point for this. So we have And Medio M coming on 5th place now. And 7th question. So this is around row level security.
And you have a image of a model to look
Here
at.
you have 60 seconds to answer. So just read and look at the picture. Take your time.
And choose the best answer.
So yeah, actually the question is how would you implement row level security? But maybe it should be how should you implement row level security?
Or what is the best way?
Or how will Reza implement row level security? Could also be the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a whole book around security in Power BI.
Okay, that was tricky one. Like the wording in the question was important, of course, as you mentioned. It should have been like, what is the best way, or how should you implement row level security? Now, why that is correct? If we can have that image again, or if you can look at the image again yourself. Yeah, here it is. So most of you realize like how the direction of relationship works. One table filters another table. So in this case, user table filters user profile table, or profile table filters the sales table, but user profile table doesn't filter the profile table. So that means if you go and define a row level security, like the normal way that you go and define it in the user table, it passes the filter to user profile, but that table doesn't pass the filter to profile and to the sales. So nothing happens over there. So there are two ways to handle it. One way is to make the relationship between user profile and profile both directional, which was one of the answers, but that is not just enough by itself. You have to check that enable security filtering to path. So that would enable this and it would work, but this is not the best answer because this would bring the performance down quite a lot. The better way to do it, much better way to do it, is to filter your profile table using some DAX expression. You need to find a way to write that DAX expression so that you can find only profiles that belong to this user based on the login of the user, and that would filter the sales transaction. But that is not also enough itself, because whenever you go and select the user will be like everyone. You want to filter the user table as well. So user table and profile table, they both need to have RLS filters on it to get this working, and you won't need any both directional relationship.
Let's see how, and yeah, not a lot of people. So let's see if some of them changes something. Yeah, we have now Nexus coming in on the leaderboard. A lot of people lost their answer streak. There's a lot of people having an answer streak on 5. Have the next question.
Yeah.
Question number 8. This is a multi-select. Which one is a fact table? So here you can answer more than one of them is correct. So there could be 1 correct, 2 correct, 3 correct, or 4 correct. Maybe all 4 is correct, maybe only 1. Which one is a fact table? You have 60 seconds to this one, so please use your time. You will get 1,000 points for every correct answer you do. But if you answer one of them incorrectly, then you won't get any points for the correct answers. Yeah, and when I make the timing for these questions, I can set it either to 30 seconds or 60 seconds. And a lot of times I wanted to do 45 seconds because... So most people have answered this one now.
Yeah,
time's up.
That seems.
Yeah, and it was a tricky question.
Right. Yeah. So the correct answer is all of these are actually fact tables. Now let me explain one by one why. I'll start from the end. Like aggregated sales transaction record. So that is sales transaction, right? You just aggregated it. It's still a fact table. It's a transactional fact table, which if you aggregated it, it's like still a fact table. Then the second one from the end, workflow process table. That is a specific type of fact table. We call it accumulative snapshot fact table. You might not heard about that a lot, but still it is talking about like happening of an action. That is one of the most critical things you need to understand, that if there is talking about happening of an action, then there is definitely a fact table. It's talking about happening of an action and different stages of that action, like workflow start. And these are some of the information of the fact table that arrive later. Some people call it late arriving fact table, but still it's a fact table. Inventory, a snapshot. A snapshot is definitely a fact table. It has records for every like possibilities that we have and the calculations of those. And the first one, a breach table. Breach table is still a fact table. It's a specific type of fact table that does not have any fact. That is why you see it is saying that breach between product, date, promotion, but no sale data. This type of fact table, some people call it factless fact table. Why? Because this is a table without any fact, without any numeric information, but it is still informative because for example, we want to know which product at which date has been on promotion, but then there was no sales. So if you have this fact table and if you have your sales fact table, you can achieve information like that. So all of them, fact tables.
All of them. So let's see. And Les got a lot of points for this one. And Nexus also crawl up onto number 2. And we still have Rishi and Benny and Amado M got on the leaderboard scoreboard again. Let's see the 9. This is a multi-select again. So how can you reduce your Power BI file size? So once again, there can be 1, 2, 3 or 4 correct answers on this one. So your Power BI file size is big. How can you reduce it? Yeah, Risha says, this is your question, Benny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have actually been thinking about doing a quiz on Power BI performance, or how to
that
performance
sounds
issues in
exciting
Power BI.
topic. Okay, that's good to see. Most of the people got the correct answer. So turning off auto date time, because Power BI in general, if you don't change the setting, the default is that it will create a date table behind the scene for every date field you have. That is for simplicity and make things easier for you to use. But the fact is that this would increase the size of your file specifically. And if you have things such as like very far date all the way back or all the way up, this would affect definitely the size. High cardinality columns, something like an order ID in your fact sales table, something like that, or when you have date and time combined together in one field, these are definitely things that the X velocity engine won't be really powerful in compressing those. So those would be still keeping your file size big. Filtering data in Power Query. So obviously, if you have less data loaded into your model, you have a smaller file size. The one that doesn't impact is filtering data in the report, because the data is already loaded into your model. So filtering it in a report, unless you use probably something such as direct query or something like that, unless that specific scenario, it won't happen, which this was more like a generic scenario question.
Yeah. So most people got it right. So maybe not. Yeah. And a lot of these people got 3,000 points. So
same.
But we still have 2 questions left. So let's see which one is not a dimension. So we had a question before on facts, and now we have it. So Yeah, back.
And some of these terms might be something you haven't heard of, so I'll explain after.
Yeah, these terms are maybe not used that much in Power BI, but in data warehousing. So in third dimension.
That's a good answering. Again, this was one of the questions from the last time with just a bit of change, but because most of people got it wrong, so I added again. So let me explain what these are. First, what is dimension? Dimension is a descriptive table in your star schema, in your BI model, descriptive table that has fields that is not just text. It can be like anything. It can be a date field. It can be a numeric field, but it is still descriptive, such as age. Age is a descriptive field. Now, types of dimensions, there are many types of dimensions. These are some of the few types of dimensions. For example, junk dimension. This is a very small dimension. Normally, these dimensions are for things such as just like status, things like that, which is only small, like probably you have 3-4 rows with one column. You don't normally go and create a dimension for those in data warehousing principles. You combine all of those dimensions in one dimension, call it a junk dimension. That is definitely a type of dimension. Degenerate dimension. That is a dimension that does not really have a separate table. That is a dimension that lives inside the fact table. The reason is that the granularity of this dimension is normally exactly the same as the fact table. Order ID, for example. Order ID is not a numeric field. It shouldn't be in the fact table, and is not a key field, is not a foreign key field to another dimension. It is a descriptive field. Your solution to be implemented is one way to go and create a table for that, which normally we don't do that. We add it inside the fact table, which is called as a degenerate dimension. I'll talk about inferred dimension at the end. Role-playing dimension, I already talked about that. When you have one dimension, you want to reuse it multiple times. That is how your role-playing dimension is played. Inferred dimension is not really a dimension. The whole concept is called inferred dimension member. What that is, when you have a record in your fact table, imagine in your fact sales table, it is saying that customer 123 purchased this. But then in your dimension, you don't really have customer 123 yet, right? Because of some reasons, like that information comes later. You just have the ID of that customer 123. You don't have any other information for that record, right? This means that you need to create like a blank record in your customer table with only the key and leave all other values like blank or default or things like that, and wait for that dimension to come later. This type of member, this type of row in the dimension is called inferred dimension member. Yeah. So it's not really a dimension, it's a record.
Yeah, so let's see. And we have Alex still in front. And we have the last question now. That is also awarded 2,000 points, so double points. So let's see if it can change anything. Alex is good ahead now. So last question of the quiz. So I should not store it. And oh,
okay, another tricky one. So you can, like I answered this way, you can store your date table in any of these places, but places that you should not means that the places that give you like probably like limited access. Like for example, if you store it in a data set, then what if you want to use it in another Power BI file, right? You need to like create a copy of that, right? That is why storing it in a storage that you can reuse is better. Things such as, for example, in a data warehouse, if you store it in the data warehouse, or if you put it in, create it using a data flow. Common data services just used as like a sidekick here. It's considered as a data storage thing. When you store it in common data services, you can still get it in using multiple data sets. The only place that will remove the ability to use it in multiple data sets in other places is to store it in a data set.
Yeah. So the keyword was here that it was a shared dimension. So if you want to reuse it, and yeah, it's a really good use case for using Dataflow if you haven't been using Dataflow yet. So let's see the podium.
Who is the winner?
On third with 10 out of 11
Rishi.
correctly, Rishi. And Alice
always.
on second.
Alice.
And then
Nice.
on first place, Nexus. Only
Nexus.
300 points. So in the last question, we actually
Just
shifted the winner.
got there
with
last
the
week. Nice.
smallest margin that could ever be, and all three on top of the podium got 10 out of 11 correctly. So this is really impressive.
That's fantastic.
Congratulations to all of you. And thank you for all being part of the quiz here. I will just tell you about my website here. Here I have made a list of the future guests for this season. I'm striving to have 10 shows again in the second season. And next week we have Day Ruder from the Netherlands doing a quiz on Power BI Premium. So go home and read about Premium if you want to participate and try to win that quiz. And then we have Ted Patterson doing a quiz on embedding. Maybe not many people have been working with embedding, but then you can learn something around embedding. And then John White, who is an expert in SharePoint, will do a quiz on, not on SharePoint of course, but in SharePoint in related to Power BI. So both
Power BI.
as how you can integrate the content into SharePoint, but also how you can take content out of SharePoint and put it in. And then we have Melissa Coates doing a quiz on enterprise deployment. Melissa is the one that has been writing the main white paper on enterprise deployment for Power BI. So, and then just today I also got Casper de Jong confirmed. He will do a quiz on security. And I also have
Nice.
a couple of more people lined up. So I'm pretty sure we will have all these 10 places secured. Yeah, so once again, thank you very much, Reza, for being part of the quiz.
Thank you. Thank you for running this. I appreciate all your efforts and doing this great thing for community. And thank you everyone for joining.
And for you, especially for you, Reza, have a really nice day because it's so early.
Thank you.
So, and for the rest of you, have a nice evening or have a nice day, depending on where you're calling in from. So yeah, thank you. And
Thank you all. Have a great day.
see you all.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.